All through the F1 summer break, rumours of Australian driver Daniel Ricciardo leaving Mclaren after 2 years circulated, and the 8th-time Grand Prix winner has even shut these rumours down, claiming that he is committed to McLaren until his contracts expire after the 2023 season, as he still wants to prove himself more than ever. However, in recent news, the 33-year-old driver's fate at the Woking-based racing team has finally been decided, and McLaren team principal Andreas Seidl has now spoken to the public for the first time about Ricciardo's Formula One future with McLaren. Is Daniel Ricciardo's F1 career over? What did Andreas Seidl have to say about the 33-year-old driver? What is the Australian driver's next move? What is McLaren's next plan? It's official! Daniel Ricciardo's time at McLaren is finally over. The Australian driver posted a video of himself on his official Twitter page confirming the media speculation that he would no longer be racing for McLaren after the 2022 Formula One season. Ricciardo, who joined the Woking-based racing team in 2021, has had an unimpressive time at McLaren, finishing 8th and 20 points behind his teammate Lando Norris in his first season, and after 13 Grand Prix in the 2022 season, he sits 12th and 57 points behind Lando on the drivers' standings, with his best finish being 6th at the Australian Grand Prix. The Australian driver explained in his statement about leaving McLaren that both parties, including himself and McLaren Racing, put in a lot of effort to make their partnership work, but it has been obvious for a while that their partnership hasn't worked the way each party thought it would, and as such, McLaren has decided to make a change for the next season, and they have both mutually agreed to part ways. It's been a privilege to be a part of the McLaren racing family for the last 2 seasons, but following several months of discussions with Zach and Andreas, we have decided to terminate my contract with the team early and agree to mutually part ways at the end of this season, Ricciardo said. McLaren team principal Andreas Seidl, who was reported to have informed Ricciardo of the British racing team's plan to replace him at the 2022 Hungarian Grand Prix, admitted that McLaren was not entirely blameless for how things turned out, but it is no secret that Ricciardo's performance has been on the decline, despite leading them to their first win in a decade, and as such it was only fair to terminate Ricciardo's contract early. It's no secret that if you look back on the last 18 months of our journey together, it's clear that, despite highlights like the big win at Monza, we didn't achieve the results we wanted to achieve together. That's why we've had a lot of discussions in the last month, Zach Brown and myself, along with Daniel, but in the end, we have to recognise that despite all the efforts on Daniel's side and the team side, we have not been able to work together, despite all the effort we've all made. That is why we have come to the decision that we want to change something for next year, and we have agreed with Daniel that we will terminate the contract early at the end of this year, said Seidl. Seidl, however, thanked Ricciardo for his time at McLaren and stated that despite how the situation turned out, he believes that with the remaining 9 races, both Ricciardo and McLaren can end their relationship on a high note and move ahead of Alpine Racing Team on the constructor standings. I would like to thank Daniel for his dedication and contribution over the last 2 seasons so far. Despite the shared challenges, he has always turned up with a fighting spirit and positivity and helped the entire team to always keep pushing forward. We will never forget that memorable race win in Monza, which was a great boost for the whole team. We still have an important battle in the Constructors' Championship ahead of us for the remainder of the season, and we look forward to battle this out with Daniel and Lando, Andreas said. McLaren CEO Zach Brown, who was the first to hint that Ricciardo's time at McLaren was coming to an end, also issued a statement about Ricciardo's leaving the Woking-based team, stating that the situation was unpleasant, but it was the best for both parties given that Ricciardo's performance since joining had been surprising in a bad way. But he is grateful for Ricciardo's professionalism throughout his stay at McLaren and hopes that he finds his form in another team on the grid. Daniel has been a great addition to McLaren, and it's been a pleasure working with him. I'd like to thank him for all of his efforts over the last 2 seasons, both trackside and back at base. I think it is fair to say that we're all surprised it didn't deliver more results and more Monza-like performances. Clearly, he's got a fantastic CV and came into us as a 7-time Grand Prix winner and leaves us as an 8-time Grand Prix winner with 9 races to go. Who knows what happens later this year? Hopefully he'll find his form in a new environment, Zach Brown said. Lando Norris, his teammate of 2 years, who has outperformed in both seasons, also paid tribute to Daniel Ricciardo. Lando tweeted a classy message to the 33-year-old driver, thanking him for his time at McLaren and wishing him the best of luck in his future endeavours. What a ride at Daniel Ricciardo! From that moment in Monza to the laughs we've had out of the car, it's been a joy working with you these last 2 years. Whatever's next, I wish you all the best. Let's have a mega next few months, Lando tweeted. However, despite the unpleasant ending to his time at McLaren, Ricciardo chose to be nice about it all, choosing to take the positives from his time there. Regardless, he also admitted that he was partly to blame, but he will choose to remember the good times, including winning the Italian Grand Prix in 2021. I look back on my time at McLaren with a smile. I have learned a lot about myself, things that will help me for the next step in my career, but also in life in general. From a results standpoint, sure, to get the results consistently and that shape I was looking for, it wasn't always there, and that made some weekends tough. I felt it, absolutely. But I also have a lot of good memories of my time with the team. I think of Monza. I'm thinking about getting on the top step. I'm thinking about giving the team their first win since 2012. That sort of thing was great, said Ricciardo. When asked about his future in Formula 1, Daniel Ricciardo stated that he still loves the sport and will not retire anytime soon, even though his future is uncertain at the moment. The sport, I still love it. This has not taken away from that. I still have that fire in me, that belief in my gut that I can do this at the highest level. All that stuff is still there. This isn't it for me. For the future, what lies ahead, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see, Ricciardo stated. Nonetheless, despite the uncertainty surrounding his future in F1, it has been reported that Günther Steiner, the team principal of Haas Racing, has approached Daniel Ricciardo about racing for the American team next season. According to reports, Haas will not extend the contract of its German driver Mick Schumacher, which opens the door for Ricciardo to return to the grid next season, and Steiner has already reached out to Ricciardo to partner with Kevin Magnussen next season. However, there appears to be a roadblock in the way of Ricciardo joining Haas, and that is his salary. When compared to a younger Mick Schumacher, who earns less than $2 million per year, the 33-year-old driver's annual salary of $20.8 million is a lot for Haas to pay. Nonetheless, it is unclear whether Haas will be able to accommodate the Australian driver, but it is clear that they are not the only team attempting to sign him, as Alpine Racing, which was caught up in the Oscar Piastri saga, which saw Ricciardo lose his race seat for the next season, is also currently without a driver to partner Esteban Ocon next season, following Fernando Alonso's deal with Aston Martin. Regardless, despite speculation that Oscar Piastri will take the free race seat in McLaren next season to partner Lando Norris, the Woking-based team has issued a statement stating that they haven't confirmed their full 2023 driver lineup. However, the 21-year-old Australian driver is likely to be the new McLaren driver next season, following Zak Brown's statement that they are very confident in their future and that they will announce their lineup very soon. However, there are many concerns about the McLaren racing team. Determination to compete with the top teams on the grid with their attempt to replace an experienced driver like Ricciardo with a rookie like Piastri, but Seidl asserted that he would not be making any comparisons because their focus at the moment is Daniel Ricciardo, and that any questions about their future lineup would be discussed later. To be honest, I have no interest in going into this comparison at the moment, he said. Today it's about Daniel, and throughout the weekend at Spa it will be about Daniel. We want to move on. Daniel also wants to move on in terms of the topic we announced today, and regarding the future, it's something we speak afterwards, Seidl said. Nevertheless, we will be hoping that ahead of the 2022 Belgian Grand Prix and the remaining 9 races this season, Daniel Ricciardo, one of Formula 1's best overtakers, will be able to demonstrate that he still has much to give. What are your thoughts on McLaren terminating Daniel Ricciardo's contract? Do you think he should have been given more time? Or do you believe his time in Formula 1 was up? Where do you see the Australian driver next season? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.